guys, welcome back. My name is Z and I hope you enjoyed that little video that you just watched. It's a little trick that I would like to show you how to do in today's video. I hope you do enjoy this tutorial as well. Without wasting time, let's get right into it. So of course the biggest thing in this video is the fact that the bottle or the flask came to my hand without me touching it, which is the biggest thing. So you might be thinking, how did I do that? So I'm just going to play back again the video and I'd like you to really think through what could have happened. And you might just be able to see and guess how I achieved this. So if you guessed that I shot the video and I just reversed it in editing, then you are partially correct. You are not entirely correct. Because if I had done that, then I would have achieved having the pouring at the end to actually not be in reverse. So I'm just going to play it in my source monitor here so you can have a look. So that's how I actually shot this. So I started off with pouring and then I pushed the flask away and then put my hand down. The first cut that you want to add is between the first time you open the flask. So I'm going to set my in point and then all the way until you push the flask away or the bottle, whatever you may be using at the time. And I'll set my out point. And then I'll drag just the video only and drop it in my timeline. And you'll see, let me just adjust my workspace here. So this is what we have on our timeline now. It's just me pouring and then closing it and then pushing it away. All right, fantastic. So what we'll do is we'll right click and we'll go to speed, duration, and then click on reverse speed. So now this is how it looks. Fantastic, that's what we want. But you'll notice something. The water is already in the shot. This is why just reversing it is not enough. And if you play it up until here, the water is actually going out of the cup or out of the glass. What we want to do to correct that first is we want to go back to our source clip. So I'm going to double click it. And here in our source monitor, I'm going to start it off here, set my in point before I start pouring, and then all the way to up to here when I stop pouring. Set an out point, and then I'll add this on top of my already existing video on the timeline. And then after that, what we want to do is add markers to our clips. This will help us to know how to position the two clips. So the first one, which is in real time, the one I just added, I want to add a marker to when I start pouring. So right over there, add a marker. You'll notice that it will also add a marker to the clip that's at the bottom, but not in the same position because again, it's the same clip, but it's reversed. So the marker is actually in another position. I hope that makes sense. And then I'll just scrub through and go to where I stop pouring, which is around about there. And I add a marker. So the good thing about this is it's actually adding the reverse markers to the clip at the bottom. So that actually helps us. So now we just need to align these two for us to actually achieve what we would like to achieve. We need to mask the clip that's on top. So I'll select this clip. Actually, let me label these differently. So okay, so I've labeled the clip that's in reverse teal, and I've labeled the clip that is in real time rose. What we want to do is to mask the clip that's in real time. So I'm going to go to effect controls while selecting that clip and go under opacity and then click on the Bezier tool. And I'm just going to zoom in here for flexibility's sake. And what we would like to do is to mask this glass out. you can go by the edge here, because there'll be a little bit of feathering. So for this part of the glass, you can be really specific to the shape of the glass, but on this other side, you can honestly just draw around, because the feathering will help us out there. If I hide the clip at the bottom, you'll see that our clip that's in real time is now masked, which means we've isolated this area. So I'll unhide the other clip again, and let me just play that back and put it to fit. If I play that, you can see our glass is now empty, and when we pour, we are seeing the pouring, right? So I'll just extend this so that it ends at the same time, and then I'll extend the beginning as well. So you see what's happening there. That's our mask. And if you saw my previous video, I did mention that when you want to achieve these kind of videos, your camera needs to be in the same position and nothing should move in the frame, at least in places where you know you want things to remain the same. So this is where I had just started recording, so I was actually just moving past the glass, so you can see that. But that's actually fine. What we can do to fix that is I'm just going to add an edit here. I'll delete this first part where I was moving. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze this frame so that it's actually nothing is happening there. There we go. So now this is how it looks. Great. So it's looking good so far, but it's just a few things that we can tweak around just so that it's really believable, because right now it's okay. But if you really look closely, and I know some of you guys would look closely, you can see that here in the beginning, it's a bit, I mean, it's okay. Okay, the beginning is not too bad. Let's see, but at the end, if you see the end, the water coming out of the flask is still quite a lot, but in our glass, there's almost nothing. So if I just move frame by frame there, you can see what's happening. And I mean, there are a couple of different ways we can fix this, but I think what we're going to attempt to do is we're going to go back to our source clip. I'll double click this and go to our source monitor. I'm just going to set an end point somewhere here where I'm actually pouring in real time and where I stop. And then I'm just going to add that on top again on our third layer. So here what we want to do is to add a seamless transition between the clip that is in reverse and the clip that is in real time. So we're going to lower the opacity of this clip on top, and I'm just going to put it at about 60. Yeah, 60% is good. So you can see this is the clip that I have lowered the opacity, and I want to just go frame by frame to see if there's anywhere where these two clips are almost in the same position. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but at least if it's almost, then that'll be perfect. So as you can see right here, it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. Let me see, let me go back a bit. Okay, there we go. So at this point, these two clips are actually, it's almost like an intersection. The other one is going in reverse and the other one is going forward. And we're going to use that to transition between the two so that the one that was going in reverse just hands over the button stick to the one that's going forward. That way we'll have an ending. Let's actually do that and see if it works first. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a cut and delete the clip that is before that because we don't need it. I can raise the opacity back for this clip to 100. And then let's see this in full frame. Okay, so let's play it back. Great, that looks good. Let's zoom in a little so that we just make sure. I initially thought that I would actually need to add a morph cut here, of which you could just to be safe, but if you really look at it, it's pretty close. I mean, it's almost seamless. I mean, there's a slight movement, but that just looks like a natural hand movement. You can see there, it looks like a natural hand movement. The beginning I was happy with as well. Actually, the beginning is not that great, as you can see here. Yeah, so let's fix that as well. Okay, so let's fix the beginning as well. Just gonna move this. So you can see the water in the glass is already coming in with a huge splash, but from the flask, it's still, yeah, still trickling. So what we can do to fix that is, what can we do actually? That's a good question. Okay, I think we can move the starting point of what would be our clip that is in real time. So I will just add a cut here just so that I'm happy with what's before this. So I just want to deal with what's after this. And I'm also happy with what happens after this cut. So I'm just going to make cuts here so that this is the area. Let me just add an in and out point here. This is the area that we need to deal with so that we fix this endpoint, right? So I'm just going to undo. That was just for you to see where we're looking at. You have different ways you can do this. You can use what's called a slip tool, which basically moves, it keeps the duration of your clip, but it moves that clip within that section. I don't even know if that made sense, but you could just shorten the clip from the end part and then let's see. Okay, almost there. I also could add markers, but I don't want to add them because then it will also add a marker to the clip that's in reverse. So I'm going to have to kind of wing this. Okay. I mean, that's not perfect, but it's also kind of okay. You can see here that the water actually is moving a little bit faster in the glass than it is from the flask, but which is also not a bad thing because, you know, with glasses, they tend to have a distortion that they make. So this could be me pouring into the wall of the glass, and then, yeah, right now we're going frame by frame, really scrutinizing it. But if I play this back at full frame, you can see how it looks. Yeah, done. So that's literally how you do it. I mean, of course, you could tweak this a little bit more just to get the timings right. And also, let me mention that I did a lot of takes just to make sure I was recording different couple of times, because there's so many things that you actually need to get right in the recording. You want to make sure that you're holding the flask or a bottle, if you're using a bottle, in the same position, or at least in a similar position when you start pouring and when you stop pouring, because then that will help you be able to have that part where you can merge the two clips. So that's one thing. And try to make your pouring steady as well. Don't like splash the water when you start, because then it'll kind of look different. You want to make sure that the flow of the water is kinda consistent. And another thing, for this particular concept to work, you'll notice that the glass is to my far left and your far right, because I intentionally wanted to manipulate this area. And the only way to do that is to make sure that it's controlled. It's a controlled section of the video which has no movements or anything like that. Lastly, you also want to time this push perfectly, so that because sometimes I was pushing it all the way out of frame, and then sometimes I wasn't pushing it enough. And then also, just to add a little bit of realism to it, you can, once you pushed it, and then you put your hand down, so that when it's now reversed, it looks like your hand came up. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please do leave a like and a comment. Comments are really important, because then it helps me to know if you actually love these videos or if you actually hate them. Then I would know what to make more and what not to. And also, please do subscribe if you haven't already. That would help me and the channel a lot. And once again, my name is Z, and thank you for sticking around. Until next time, cheers.